Is it okay for Christians to drink alcohol? What does the Bible say on alcohol? Is it strictly forbidden? Is it allowed? Should we practice moderation? What do we do? Firstly, the Bible has plenty to say on alcohol. In Leviticus 10 verse 9 it says, "You and your sons are not to drink wine or other fermented drink when you go into the tent of meeting, or you will die. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come." Deuteronomy 29 verse 6, "You ate no bread and drank no wine or other fermented drink. I did this so that you might know that I am the Lord your God." Proverbs 20 verse 1, "Wine is a mocker and beer a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise." These are just three scriptures that mainly point towards not drinking alcohol. However, there are some scriptures that show alcohol in a positive light. Ecclesiastes 9 verse 7, "Go, eat your food with gladness, and drink your wine with a joyful heart, for God has already approved what you do." Psalm 104, "He makes grass grow for the cattle, and plants for people to cultivate, bringing forth food from the earth. Wine that gladdens the human hearts, oil to make their faces shine, and bread that sustains their hearts." Amos 9 verse 14, "And I will bring my people Israel back from exile. They will rebuild the ruined cities and live in them. They will plant vineyards and drink their wine. They will make gardens and eat their fruit." So from here we can see that God does not explicitly forbid Christians from drinking alcohol. However, there is something that he forbids: drunkenness. In Ephesians 5:18 it states, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit." The Bible strictly condemns any form of drunkenness as well as its effects, with Proverbs 23 saying, "Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaints? Who has needless bruises? Who has bloodshot eyes? Those who linger over wine, who go to sample bowls of mixed wine. Do not gaze at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a snake and poisons like a viper. Your eyes will see strange sights, and your mind will imagine confusing things. You will be like one sleeping on the high seas, lying on the top of the rigging. They hit me, you will say, but I'm not hurt. They beat me, but I don't feel it. When will I wake up so that I can find another drink?" How many alcoholics do you know have had to deal with the effects as described in this proverb? Maybe this proverb is describing you. This proverb is often quoted because it provides a perfect picture of the cycle of alcoholism and its destructive power. We as Christians are commanded not to be mastered by anything. In 1 Corinthians 6 verse 12 it states, "I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything." In 2 Peter 2 verse 19, "They promise them freedom, while they themselves are slaves of depravity, for people are slaves to whatever has mastered them." The problem with alcohol is that it provides a slippery slope where it has the potential to master someone. Alcohol has mastered many people, and as a result their lives lead to destruction. Drinking excess alcohol will obviously and undeniably lead to an addiction. We as Christians are also instructed not to do anything that will offend others or sin against their conscience. Rather, we must glorify God in all we do. In 1 Corinthians 10:31 it states, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God." In 1 Corinthians 8:9-13 it states, "Be careful, however, that the exercise of your rights does not become a stumbling block to the weak. For if someone with a weak conscience sees you, with all your knowledge, eating in an idol's temple, won't that person be emboldened to eat what is sacrificed to idols? So this weak brother or sister, for whom Christ died, is destroyed by your knowledge. When you sin against them in this way and wound their weak conscience, you sin against Christ. Therefore, if what I eat causes my brother or sister to fall into sin, I will never eat meat again, so that I will not cause them to fall. Does alcohol glorify God? Does drinking alcohol in excess glorify God? Clearly not. Drunkenness can lead you to acting and behaving totally different to who you are and the Christian principles we should be abiding by. What did Jesus do? There is often an argument that Jesus drank wine, especially since he turned water into wine, so there shouldn't be a problem with it, right? Firstly, we need to look at the context of wine in the New Testament and why it was so popular. The period of the New Testament did not have a lot of the technology that we have today. They did not have purified water like how we do. Water was actually quite scarce in the Judea and Samaria region, and whatever water they could find, chances were that they were not clean. That water may have been filled with viruses, bacteria, and various contaminants that had to be dealt with. So people drank wine as an alternative because it was less likely to be contaminated due to wine's natural characteristics. Ancient Egyptians and Romans would add wine to their water to dilute it and make it less contaminated. Wine technically was healthier than water and provided more benefits than water did in those days. With this context in mind, in 1 Timothy 5:23 we see Paul say famously, "Stop drinking only water and use a little wine because of your stomach and your frequent illnesses." Wine provided medicinal benefits, and it was healthier to drink than water. So when Jesus turned water into wine, it was definitely alcoholic wine because the master of the banquet, who would be acquainted with alcohol, said it was the best wine he ever tasted. If Jesus did drink wine, it was never to get drunk, but rather for the benefits that wine provided in those days. In doing so, he never got drunk. Even during the crucifixion, Jesus was given wine vinegar in John 19:29. It is also important to note that the wine in the time of Jesus did contain alcohol, but not to the degree that it is today. It is also incorrect to say that the wine in Jesus' day was simply grape juice. The alcohol we have today is very different from the alcohol that people had 2,000 years ago. So with all of this context, what should Christians do regarding alcohol? So here are the greatest takeaway points from this. Number 1. The Bible does not forbid people from drinking any form of alcohol, be it beer, wine, or strong drink. Number 2. Alcohol is not tainted by sin as it is naturally produced, whereas humans have refined it. Number 3. Drunkenness and addiction is a sin. Therefore, Christians must avoid being mastered by alcohol. Number 4. Alcohol consumed in small quantities is not harmful, nor is it addictive. It can even have medicinal benefits. Number 5. The consumption of alcohol is a matter of personal choice. Some choose to enjoy alcohol as a pastime. Others choose to remain teetotal to draw closer to God and not be mastered by anything. Number 6. The Bible does have major concerns about alcohol and its effects due to the temptation of consuming it in excess and its big possibility to cause offense and stumbling to others and yourself. Number 7. Based on this, the best course of action for a Christian is to abstain from drinking alcohol. It is better not to have a fire to deal with than to try and control a fire. With this in mind, I leave Proverbs 31 verses 4 to 7 for you to meditate on. It is not for kings, Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Do you see yourself as a king or queen, or do you see yourself as one perishing? Make the decision that you need to make, but remember that you cannot escape the consequences of your decision. It is better to abstain from alcohol than to put effort in preventing yourself from being mastered by it.